So, welcome to this week's Our Amazing podcast. And each week we have a different guest who shares their most amazing person, object, animal, quote, book, and then finally they share their most opinion on the most amazing thing ever. And this week's guest is Bridget MacPherson. And Bridget has lived in Boston most of her life, mostly in the town centre, but recently rurally with a renovation project in the middle of a field, which being out in the sticks is quite good because one of her main hobbies is walking. Um, as a child, her favourite thing was correct me if I'm wrong on this, Bridget, was a post office set, which sort of set you up for a life of work in admin, and which is probably how we know you most now. Not so much admin, but your role is the CEO at Butterfly Hospice. And then you said that in the future you hope to travel and explore a little bit more of the world. And yeah, yeah, I can very much vouch for that. I've done a little bit of traveling, and it's one of the best things. And yeah, definitely, definitely. So that's this week's guest is Bridget. So let's get started, Bridget. Um, your most amazing person, in your opinion?
Right, okay. Thank you for the lovely introduction, by the way, Mark. That was super. Right, my most amazing person, quite difficult because there's lots of them out there. A historic figure, and it's Elizabeth First, our monarch of
Yeah,
500 plus years ago.
100 plus years ago. And what was your reason for picking Elizabeth first?
Well, she was born in such uncertain times as a member of the royal family, but such a privileged position as well. And I think it really intrigues me when somebody comes into the world and on the face of it, it looks like, they've probably got a lot going for them and it's going to be great. But actually, she was born female. And that was not a good thing. She was expected to be male. So her life from birth was quite a period of significant ups and downs, starting from day one. So yeah, to actually come into the world and by the age of 3 know that your mum's had her head chopped off
Yeah,
is quite a significant life event, isn't it?
yeah, because her mum was Anne Boleyn, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yeah,
Yeah,
and obviously that didn't go too well from Berlin. To lose a mother at such a tender age, and then to be almost disinherited by a father for a number of years afterwards, must have been absolute crushing for a very young child. Following periods of discontentment within the country as a whole, where there was so much rebellion and infighting. Yeah, what a life to be born into.
yeah, because I don't know much about Elizabeth first, but I had a quick look online. I should do. I built the website for the film Elizabeth Golden Age, and but I built it and didn't really research. But um, the yeah, and she didn't know like when Henry remarried, she didn't know they disinherited her, and she wasn't going to be king or queen or
No,
anything
I
like
think she
that.
was
And
referred to as Lady Elizabeth, so she wasn't even known as a princess. But when Henry had finally got his son, that was Edward, there were moves along the time as she grew up that she became more in her father's favour, but that was only because she'd got a half brother that could assume the monarchy. By the time that he was able to, so yeah, she's had a checkered life, a real checkered life, even into adulthood. Um, Spending a stint in our lovely town of London as well. So once Edward had died, there was a lot of fighting for who should actually come to the throne, and it was her elder sister Mary the First, half sister from Henry's first wife. So Mary promptly put Elizabeth in the tower for a year.
oh,
So
so it was a real up and down sort of uncertain time for her. Like you said, in the time of uncertainty, it was really she didn't wasn't born to be queen at all.
Not at all. And at the time, her mother, obviously previous to her death, had pioneered the Protestant faith
Yeah.
because England was purely Catholic. So Elizabeth really championed Protestantism, if I
Mm.
can get that out properly. So really went up against her sister, but had to kind of conform to Catholicism at the same time as really wanting to push the Protestant faith and embed the Church of England as well. So, she had everything against her, but she rose above it. In fact, there was a quote that she came out with, and it was about how she basically kept silent but was watchful. And I think that was a really kind of canny way of dealing with events that was surrounding her.
Yeah, keep your powder dry, and like so, which is yeah, they put lots of powder on. Yeah, so just what was that? Watch, but
It was about she kept silence but kept a watchful eye. She came out of it in she actually described it in Latin, which I've never done Latin,
no,
Mark, so I'm not even going to
me neither.
go
Apart
there.
from carpe diem, I don't really know. Yeah. And do you think all that uncertainty sort of was what made her such a good queen?
I think she had to line up who she could trust and who she couldn't trust. And if you look at your very closest family, there were trust issues there from word go. Becoming somebody that came into power as monarch, she was then approached by Mary the First, her half sister's husband, who was Philip II of Spain.
Yeah.
So he'd married her sister. Sister had died. Then he thought, I'm going to marry you now. And she decided, no, I'm not going to do that. Um, and basically, she set her stall out to be, I am going to be the unmarried queen because who do you trust?
And there'd have been a lot of pressure for her to marry, wouldn't there, as well?
Yeah, absolutely so, and to put a royal prince on the throne, So and she never did have children, to our knowledge, even though there were conspiracy theories out there that she did.
Oh,
So she had favourites. Whether those favourites actually did consummate and produce possibly an heir to the throne. Who knows? But that's been debated amongst the theorists there. And one of them was a favourite called Robert Dudley, actually. And she was very much looked at by those around her for the misfortune of his wife falling down the stairs and dying.
oh,
So, yeah, so she was definitely wrapped up in a lot of controversy in her life as well.
yeah.
So,
It, I,
intriguing character.
yeah, and like I said, I don't know much about it, but it seems like she did it very much her own way. There was like no, she didn't bow to pressure particularly well.
Yeah, I think that's
And that's quite
true.
a
I mean,
difficult thing not to do.
and we can only sort of draw our own conclusions by the historians that have passed and passed on their knowledge to us. She had trusted advisors, one of which was Lord Burleigh. So those local to Boston will know that Burleigh House is literally, an hour's drive down the road. So he was her spy master. So he was very much an advisor to Henry VIII, but he also looked after Elizabeth as she was in reign, as did his son, to make sure that any assassination attempts on her or anybody looking to act in treason, they were dealt with, and there was a huge spy network to protect Elizabeth once she came to throne.
And she was very long serving as well, wasn't she? Similar
She
to
was, I believe, she served for over 40 years, and she came to the throne at age 25, which
it's
yeah, that's
similar, isn't
still
it?
young, isn't it?
Yeah, similar to
It's
Seth the
still young.
second was about the same. Elizabeth the second was the sort of same sort of age as well, wasn't it?
No, Elizabeth first died, I think, age 69.
But
So
25, she came on the throne, didn't she? Queen Elizabeth the
yes, so
second.
about 40,
So they both came
40
on the
years.
about the same sort of age.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic that our recently departed Queen has the same name.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that's lovely. I think that's, when I am a royalist, I love it. I love our history and our heritage. So I think it's fantastic that our Elizabeth II was sort of like a namesake after Elizabeth I.
yeah, and both the Elizabeths were classed as very, very good monarchs as well, wasn't they?
Yeah, I think for Elizabeth I, her view was that she wanted to bring stability to the UK, to England, if you like, um, because there'd been such discord for hundreds of years before with infighting. So, and she managed that. The Golden Age was very much about bringing prosperity and stability to England. And that worked really well for her. And that's how we remember her, as this red-headed, pale-skinned lady queen. But towards the end of her life, she definitely fell a little bit more out of favour with people,
Right.
but she'd had a tough time of it. So
Yeah.
credit where it's due.
Blimey, not many people actually get out of the Tower of London. Did they? When once you were in there, you were in there, and then to get out of there and then become the monarch is pretty impressive. Y-
And she was female, so I'm sort of like championing the feminist cause here in a time where women really didn't have all that much of a say in
No,
affairs of the state.
yeah, and only recently it's changed that I think if the first born is a female now of the oldest of the soon to be monarch, they can now become queen in their own right. Because
I
I think
believe
about
so.
1998 or something, wasn't it? That if
Yeah,
if a girl was born and then they had a boy, the boy would automatically jump in line to be the monarch, and that's only just recently changed, hasn't it?
yeah. It's quite amazing, really, isn't it?
It's nuts. It's
An
nuts.
amazing person, an amazing fact there. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is crazy. Do you feel you've got any similar traits, or do you feel that to her, or is there anything that you take that she does that inspires you? You mentioned like the just listening in rather than always acting, or is it just
I think if there's anything in Elizabeth that I can draw from as something that I would like to aspire to be, it's always to be inwardly strong. Even when times are hard, um, I always have little sayings to myself to think, well, what could the worst thing that happen?
yeah,
Because actually, if you hurt somebody or harm somebody, or you do something, dreadful, that's awful. But some of the stuff that happens that we worry about, why bother? So I think
yeah,
it's that inward strength to think you can tackle just about anything. And,
yeah,
it's those things that sort of blindside you that you don't even see, the things you need to worry about,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
not just worry about things for worry's sake.
yeah. Have you ever heard of the Baz Luhrmann song? It was "Never Wear Sunscreen."
Sun cream, it's on my playlist.
It's on my playlist as well, and it's got a line in there. It's like the things that you. It's never the things that you worry about. It's some random thing that blindsides you
On a
on some
Tuesday morning.
random Tuesday
Yeah,
morning. Yeah, yeah, and it's
yeah,
having the strength. It sounds like yeah, the Queen Elizabeth I had the strength to get through those things that blindsided her on a random Tuesday.
yeah, because you had to, you
Yeah,
know.
it's amazing what you can do when you've got no other choice as well. That is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's my favourite amazing person.
yeah, and
But if I was to meet her in real life, would I think she was that amazing? Who knows?
oh, I don't know. Yeah, and times being different as well. Yeah. Yeah, but from the bit it is yeah, it's what she's gone through and where she got to and what she achieved. Certainly, you need a strength of character, and it's pretty amazing to have done that, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect. So that's your most amazing person, which takes us on to your second choice of your most amazing object. So,
Yes. My apologies to your viewers on this one. I don't profess to be scientific, it's not a strength. The fact that the human brain has been able to come up with devices that can both record images and sound at the same time, to me, is mind blowing. So we've had video recorders, we have video links, we're doing it now.
Yeah, yeah.
All
How
sorts of
simple is it now? How it works, we don't know,
I
but
know, I know. But, it's sort of built from, images to then, putting photographs together to moving images. And then could we add sound in with that? How do we do that? So I just think it's phenomenal what we can do. And obviously, with video devices, we can record. So, how amazing is it that we can record historical events? So, history being a theme with me again.
yeah,
I love watching old footage on the telly and thinking, wow, that's how they used to dress, that's what they looked like, that's what they sounded like. How amazing would it have been if we'd had this technology,
oh,
1,000 years ago?
yeah. Because like you said,
We
it's not like
didn't.
yeah, because the video recording is only, like, about 200 years old-ish. Is that what you were saying, about 2 centuries? So before that,
Yeah,
no video documentation.
no. And like I say, it's so simple. There'll be people out there think it's so simple to do. All you need is this, this, and that. But to me, I just think it's phenomenal. Just
Yeah,
think it's brilliant, a brilliant invention.
yeah, and nowadays we have it in our pocket. Like,
We
we're
do.
carrying a video camera around with us all the time, whereas sort of 30 years ago, you might have been able to buy one of those sort of Sony ones that were a bit like a TV camera, but
Yeah. And the practical uses of it, it's not just for leisure, controversial as it may be, your CCTV cameras, surveillance equipment, things that will keep us safe. Um, the multi-purpose use of that kind of technology is just astounding. We've been able to record on the moon.
yeah,
It's just
it's nuts, isn't it? And, like, how many crimes have been solved recently because of CCTV that would have
absolutely
otherwise gone un unsolved? How many
exactly. Yeah, a multitude of uses, enjoyment, leisure, criminality, um, industry,
yeah,
anything, anything.
yeah,
So that to me is just like the most brilliant object, something
yeah.
that records images and sound.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember a few years ago reading about a Sony hand cam that came out in 1998 that they had to recall because if you put the night vision on in the day, it could see through people's clothing. So, so it cost Sony £100 million to recall all of their cameras. I had to check it when you said, about a video recording device. So, yeah, like, there's these crazy things. So what else can they do? Because like, they like, that's almost like an X-ray camera. So,
It is, yeah,
yeah, and then
yeah,
you get facial recognition now as well, isn't it? So they can recognize your number plates when you're driving. They can recognize your face from
yeah.
where you're going. And then you've
Um,
got deep fake now, so it's harder to trust the video.
Anything you see on a screen. I mean, look at the application of the technology within the health service for people. I use the example of Rob Burrows, who has MND, that can use the technology with his eyes to be able to speak.
I know, that is
Phenomenal,
yeah.
amazing.
I find stuff like that absolutely amazing. I've just read a book called The Butterfly and the Diving Bell, and it was a guy who had locked-in syndrome, and he wrote the whole book with a blink of his eye. So he looked at every letter on the board, blinked, his supporter would write it down, and he's written a whole book about his experiences all through the blink of an eye. It's not
That's
technology,
amazing.
but like it blew my mind. And again, like you're saying about Rob Burrows, being able to move his eye to control that video.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
What a device, and, like, we all carry them around now. We take them for granted, being able to record stuff. Like, the stuff that you catch on, like, TikTok or YouTube or video just because people have pulled their phone out for something that's happening around them. We're documenting stuff that would never have got documented.
Exactly. Live.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I can remember going to a conference many, many years ago when I was in a different area of work, and Twitter had just been invented. And I can remember the presenter saying, now we can get live footage right here, right now, with some event that's going on the other side of the world because people have their phones, even before reporters arrive with their cameras. And I thought,
Yeah,
really? Yeah,
and that's exactly how it is, isn't it?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. It has democratized everything that you can share stuff very, very quickly, and videos and pictures. Yeah, it's nuts.
Podcasts.
Yeah, yeah. The fact that this can be recorded and then shared. Yeah, yeah. It is absolutely crazy because I guess like you said, video recording devices was used to be only for the sort of TV companies, and then you got like the Sony cameras and things like that. And I can remember first seeing myself on a TV when my uncle had a big sort of one of those big Sony cameras in the early 80s. And I was like blown away that there I was just putting this VHS in and you're on the telly. And but now it's just so easy, and I guess we all take it for granted because it is so easy. But when it first happened that you could record yourself, put yourself on telly.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm still blown away by that.
Yeah. And
So
actually I still don't know how any of it works. Not
no,
completely, got a rough idea, but like it but yeah. It's a
I'm of the age mark, so as I just press a button and it works, that's enough technology for
yeah,
me.
yeah. What is it? It's like it's the how's not important. It's just the fact that it does. It works. Perfect. Yeah, yeah. A truly amazing device. So that's the video recording device. So let's move on to your animal. What is your opinion of the most amazing animal?
This is a personal thing,
Yeah, but
obviously,
the whole thing's personal. So it's
yeah, I'm a keeper of chickens. So it started off as a little bit of a hobby since I've moved out of Boston into the country, and I started off with a little group of four red hens, and then I kind of went a bit bonkers and decided what different colours and different
okay.
sizes, and I grew to just over 20.
Oh,
So
20.
yeah, but they are such a peculiar animal. They're absolutely fascinating to watch, and
Yeah.
I guess for many people that do know a little bit about chickens, I love the fact that they're the closest relative to dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that's just brilliant. And if you look at their behaviour, and if you've ever watched Jurassic Park, you'd know why.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Funny enough, I saw a meme today, and they said that they've been putting tails on the back of chickens since about 2014 to try and understand how dinosaurs might have moved because they've
Oh,
got a similar
okay.
shape to the head. It doesn't sound particularly kind. I don't know what it does to the chickens, but they're learning more about how dinosaurs move by putting a tail on a chicken.
Yeah. Man can do some very strange and wonderful things to wildlife, can't it? And
Yeah.
in actual fact, the chicken is suffering a little bit because they're being overproduced, especially particularly those that are obviously being battery farmed for
Mm,
their eggs and their meat. So the domesticated chicken. Now, I did do a little bit of research on it. Has been about for 8,000 years,
wow.
originating out of the jungle.
Oh,
So yeah, I never knew that. So to me, having the different breeds of chickens, they are the most popular bird across the world as well,
oh.
and that really
Keep as a pet.
surprised me.
Yeah.
No, just chickens in general.
Ah,
So apparently, now I did find a number. Um, yeah, there are more chickens than any other bird species on Earth, and they also outnumber humans 4-1. Apparently,
wow. That is
yeah, which I'd have never thought.
no.
No,
And that's crazy. And they give you. It sounds like you're going to get plenty of eggs as well.
you do. You do get plenty of eggs. Yeah, the thing that I like about the chickens, especially if we relate it back to the dinosaurs, it is a little bit macabre. Is most people think that chickens probably just peck around at grain and insects. You want to see a group of chickens when they've found a frog?
Oh,
Oh yes. And
What happens?
oh, they will fight for that frog. And
What, to eat it?
yes,
Oh,
and would you? And
don't know.
most people would think the first time I ever watched it, I thought they've obviously just got to pull the poor thing apart. No, they can eat in one whole go. A frog, it can be swallowed whole. It's phenomenal.
Oh, do you know what? Yeah.
You must Google it, Mark. You must have a look.
Yeah,
Chicken eating frog.
I saw a video of a seagull eating a whole squirrel the other day online on Facebook, which was very odd. But like a chicken eating a frog.
Yeah,
Very
and the characters as well. So I have big birds that are Brahmas, so they're the huge fluffy ones.
they orangey sort of this sort of color.
You can get different colours.
Right, okay.
So
Is that a
I've
Brahm?
got the Brahmas. So
Yeah.
I've got grey. You can get
Ah,
like more sort of yellowy coloured ones as well. And then I've got the small silky chickens that if you pluck them, their skin's black.
ah.
Um, the larger bird is the most docile, lovely natured, and this is part of the breed, beautiful natured. But if there's a threat when mine are free ranging, a cat comes, she's the one that's there. But she's not head of the group, but she's there to protect because she's the biggest, I guess. So fantastic personalities.
Yeah.
Fantastic personalities.
Yeah, I used to look after. I used to house sit for a family, and they had 4 chickens, and I'd look after their chickens, and they had a hawk as well, and I looked after the hawk, the dogs, the chickens, the cats, the parrot, whilst they all went away. But the chickens, yeah, they're just I don't know. They you wouldn't think they got a personality to them, but they do, don't they? They're
They really do, and there's more to them other than they're just a bird. So they can actually sleep. They've got a brain that sort of goes half to sleep at night, so they can sleep with one eye open and one eye closed.
oh,
So this enables it if there's any attack during the night, at least they've got half of the brain that's aware, keeping a watch, while the other half is sleeping. You can see colours, they recognise faces, they can recognise human faces, they can recognise family pets. Sounds like I'm making it up.
no,
It's completely true.
I
So
no, I believe it because I read that you can hypnotize a chicken as well.
I've not done that myself, but I might give it a go this weekend.
Have you seen how
Report
they do
back.
it? It's
No.
so you basically they're lying down on their belly with their head on the ground looking forward, and you just draw a line in the sand from their nose, and it just puts them into a trance, and then they snap themselves out of it in a couple of in a minute or so. But yeah, it puts them into
They're
a
very
trance.
easy to put in that kind of state because, for example, if you're handling chickens, if you need to get hold of them, so for example, if I need to get hold of one of mine and you do manage to catch one,
Oh, tell me about it.
if they're not used to being handled, they will flap quite a bit.
Yeah.
And if they get them, and because you've perhaps got to clip the wings or put some medication in, a way to calm them, which sounds really mean, but I was shown this by a chicken farmer, is actually you grab them by the feet, you hang them upside down, you just very slowly pull at the neck,
Ah,
no, very slowly. And as soon as you've done that once, they just hang and they're calm, and then you can do, and then bring them back into position again. But yeah, completely calm then. So they can be squawking, feet upside down, pull the neck, nice and calm.
oh, I wonder what that is. It does that to
I don't know, but it's a bit like my button analogy. I don't need to know, it just works.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the important part of it. But yeah, in my early 20s, I was looking after those chickens, and one of them was poorly, and I had to catch it to take it to the vets. It took me ages. I was late for my appointment.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
catching a chicken is not as easy.
no.
Say what, if there was a video recording device anywhere around in that house at that time, that would have been a well worth a watch, I'll tell you, because it was forever. Yeah, and you were saying about the neck. When I bought that chicken back from the vet was saying that if it happened again, it had a hernia that was coming out of anyway. But
Yeah.
they said if it happened again, it would have to be put down. But the person whose house I was looking at is a lot more butch than I am, and would if they needed to do the chicken, he wouldn't have taken it to the vet to be put down. He would have done
He'd
the
have
neck.
dispatched it himself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I took the chicken out the box and I stroked his neck, trying to work out whether I would be able to do that, or whether they'd have to come back to a 70 quid bill or something to put and I concluded I don't think I could do it. So
No,
and
me
luckily,
neither.
so for the rest of the 2 weeks they were away, I was looking at this chicken's bum for a whole 2 weeks, hoping that it didn't have a hernia again, and it didn't, and it survived for another 6 months, and I didn't have to do anything. But I concluded that I didn't think I could do it. But I
Well
think
done,
that's the
Mark.
downside for having any pet, isn't it? Is that we generally live longer, so we have to live with the consequences of when they're not there anymore.
Yeah, definitely,
But do you look at them as
definitely.
pets? Do you see them as your pet?
Yes. Yeah, yes, absolutely. And I love eating chicken, but I could not eat one of my
No.
own.
No, no,
No.
yeah, yeah. There's a really good video online where there's I think she must be about 5 or 6. This little child where there's chickens running around outside, and the mum's trying to explain that the chicken she's eating is similar to that animal, and you see it's not the child just twigs, and she's like, no, no, and then it's actually a sweet video. It's not as brutal as it sounds, but it's that concept where you can see her just piecing it all together. But yeah, you wouldn't be able to eat one of your own. No, just no,
No.
yeah. I don't know how farmers do it because there must be a connection with the animals, and then yeah,
Yeah, I don't. And I mean, they were always pets to us anyway. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. If I had any animals, they'd die of old age, and I'd still be very upset. Cool. Yeah. No, interesting. Anything else you'd like to say about chicken?
no, I think I'm chickened out. There we
Oh,
go.
I got one quick question. Do you have a favourite of your chickens, or do you like them all the same?
I like some more than others.
Oh, but you
Like
wouldn't name.
some more
Have
than
they all got
others.
names? Has all 20 got names? Would you
Yes.
name them all by
We're
recognition?
down to 11 now. So I've got up
Oh,
to
got
20.
up to
So we're down to
20.
11 now. Our favourite died about 3 weeks ago. She was called Duchess.
Oh,
Bit royal again.
yeah.
Again, a big Brahma. Just beautiful, beautiful temperament.
Yeah.
Just sad. But the larger birds don't tend to live as long as you smaller breeds. So
Yeah.
we always know after 3 years or so that's kind of
Is
it.
that roughly how long a chicken lasts? About 3 years.
The larger ones have been,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, whereas we've got little Silky, yeah, black Silky, and we got her from rehomed, and we've had her about 5 years. So I think she's got to be 7, 8 now. So she's an
oh,
old girl.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's good. That's always the tough part of having pets, isn't it? Let's
yeah.
get tortoise, and then maybe that's perhaps the exception. Cool. Right. Thank you. So before we move on to the quote, we're going to have a quick um, advert break to have a look at the website for our most amazing story, most amazing poll, most amazing quote, and most amazing fact. So we'll have a look at that, and we'll be right back. Welcome to r-amazing.com website, where we find the amazing in the ordinary everyday. And we're going to have a quick look at this week's most amazing poll, fact, quote, and story. The most amazing poll this week is our new one, which is about teapots. And it might not sound that exciting, but they do a great purpose, and sometimes it's about appreciating the ordinary everyday around us. And there's some really cool teapots. This one with a tea cozy that looks like a terrorist teapot is called, by Suck UK. You got this one that's got its own cup that's engraved, that's linked to it. One that looks like an elephant, still one that looks like R2D2. And if you like it, click upvote, and if you don't like it, click downvote. So that's the poll of the week, which you can check out on the website. Now let's have a look at the fact of the week. And the fact of the week is this very strange one about, so strangely, Diet Coca-Cola and lemons will both float, whilst full fat Coca-Cola and a lime will sink. They look all very similar, they taste similar, but one will float and one will sink, and these videos explain exactly why that is. So now let's have a quick look at the quote of the week, and this week the quote is from Rosa Parks. There's Rosa Parks, and Rosa Parks' quote is, where is it? Called equality. Equality. I would like to be known as a person who is concerned about freedom and equality and justice and prosperity for all people. And that just seems so inclusive. I like that. I would like to be known as a person who is concerned about freedom and equality and justice and prosperity for all people. And then let's go for the story of the week, which is a very interesting story about a lady that can smell Parkinson's disease. Now, this lady is called Joy Milne, and one day her husband came back from work and had a very funny smell about him, and it was like a yeasty smell. So she asked him to go to have a shower, but it didn't go away, and it continued for a very long time. A little bit further down the line, her husband got diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and when they went to the support group, which they were running late, so the room was full when they walked in, the smell when she walked in was really pungent. And we're back. So here we are. Let's crack on. So here we go. Your most amazing quote.
Right, okay. This quote is from Confucius, and it's just generally about life. You know, that's what we do every day, isn't it? Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. How true is that?
Well, as someone who's very good at making things complicated and more complicated than they need to be, I hear it. So are you able to apply it, or do you make things? Do you feel you make things complicated? Is it something that you're trying to apply, or do you feel it's a good one to follow?
I think it's a good one to follow, because I think we can just sometimes, the more complicated you make things, whatever that might be, in your home life, in your personal life, in your work life, more layers of complication is, the more unwieldy something becomes to manage. It's kind of, let's just try to keep this simple. Especially when you're working or living with other people, let's just try to keep this on such a level that we all understand where we're going and we all know what we need to do. Let's not overcomplicate, because it just creates anxiety, drama. It creates all the stuff in my head that is negative, and you want to avoid at all costs.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm involved in a project perhaps, and I get started and I think I need to have more and more and more in, and then I think, actually just strip that bit out, because you actually don't need it, you know. So
yeah,
I'm trying to apply that in all areas of my life. Waste time.
Yeah, because I sometimes when I watch the news or the telly, I just think everything seems so much more complicated than it needs to be. And yeah, because there's that saying, isn't it? KISS, keep it simple, silly, or keep it simple, stupid, whichever one you want to go with. But it's quite a good.
Yeah, and that's quite
lesson.
a new saying that we all know, but knowing that it comes back from Confucius, that is, you know, eons ago. Sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel, do you? Because it's already there. It's already there for the taking. You know, live by this, work by this, play by this rule.
Yeah, because life does feel very complicated at times, and I suppose when it is that, taking Confucius's advice of simplify, take away what you don't need, and just keep taking it away until it's simplified and more manageable, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I guess to me, complication just, I can't see anything positive about it. So, as much as I just can't see anything positive about something being complicated,
No,
unless you want to train your brain with a complex puzzle because you've done the easy bit.
yeah,
But you know, that's just a random example.
yeah. But
Yeah.
if you're going to get a better outcome by doing less and keeping it simpler, why would you not?
Why would you make it difficult for yourself?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
yeah. So it's about keeping it simple, and I suppose it's like you mentioned about sometimes challenging, worrying, and exhausting, like complicating things, make it everything a lot more difficult and causes, like you said, a lot of anxiety and worry. It's not necessarily needed.
No, because the start of that quote is life is simple. Because actually, while we're here and we're living, and I'm saying this from somebody that works in a hospice, we're living, we're breathing. That is simple because it's a fact. It's what's happening.
Mm.
It's when you know,
But when we forget how important that is.
the simple things in life are so important. They really are. And
Mm.
I think we move away from that sometimes by trying to overcomplicate everything from, you know, if you want to get married, for example, why have lots of different um, links to what your wedding's going to be like when actually the real important bit is about two people want to get married.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
keep things simple.
yeah, but yeah, so complicating things to me is just an unnecessary waste of time, energy, effort, and it can be quite negatively impactful on yourself.
Yeah,
Why do
and
that to yourself?
yeah, and you take yourself away from living, don't you? And you take yourself away from life because life is simple, as Confucius says. Yeah, it's our
Yeah.
thinking that makes it overthinking that makes it complicated when it doesn't really
Yeah.
need to be.
Some of the best conversations that I have in my workplace here at the hospice is just by spending time with people, whether they're work colleagues or whether they're some of our patients down in the hospice.
Mm.
That's the nice, simple aspect of speaking with people without complicating what role they are, what
Mm.
role I am. It's just two people talking together and appreciating whatever.
Yeah, yeah. You're getting to the real root of life and connection. Yeah.
Yeah, connecting with people that you've got some shared experiences with, people, that you can really connect with on a level because of their experiences. Yeah, it's quite a heavy place to work, but I like to keep that mantra about let's just keep this really simple together.
Mm.
You don't need to get involved in the mechanics of what a clinical diagnosis is because that's not my area.
No, no.
And you're still a person. You're still a person that needs
Yeah,
to talk about your life. And that's more important than your medical condition because right here, right now, you need to talk about you.
yeah. No, there's a similar philosophy with Samaritans where I volunteer. Yeah, where if keep it simple, keep it focused on what the person's feeling and what they're going through. Yeah, and I suppose
Yeah.
there'd be a similar aspect with people who are close to death and how they will see the world perhaps through different eyes and listening to that and their experiences could be quite powerful, I
I
guess.
think it's very
And you get to the
important.
simple bits.
Definitely, it's very important to try to put yourself in a position where you think you can actually see and feel what that other person is doing. And it kind of goes back to the Elizabeth I as well,
Mm.
to have been her at that time. It's that kind of like putting yourself out of where you're at and putting yourself where that other person is.
Yeah,
Just to deepen your, yeah, keep
yeah, yeah,
simple.
yeah. Those meerkats, they get it right, don't they?
Yeah.
Simples.
Simples.
Yeah. See, Confucius still sort of rocks through that quote still rocks today, doesn't it? Through those other things like the kiss quote, the simples thing, all of that still
Yeah,
sort of rolls through. So the message must be correct. Like if it's still being said today,
yeah.
it's simple.
And what resonated with me when you first gave the brief about your amazing quote was that if you use life is simple, everything is calm, everything is as ordered as and as well as you can focus on. So it very much is that keep calm and carry on.
Yeah,
And you know, one good quote leads to another. You
yeah,
know, it's just affirming that positive mindset moving forward.
yeah, yeah. Like keeping it simple helps you keep calm. Complicating stuff, like you said, creates angst and worry and concern. Whereas, yeah, when you keep it simple, you can keep calm and carry
And
on
carry on.
because you're keeping it
Yeah,
simple. Don't overcomplicate. No, I like that one.
yeah.
I like that.
Well, thank you.
So keeping it simple. Let's move on to the
Mhm.
your next amazing, which is your opinion of the most amazing book.
Oh, regrettably, I don't have the time, which is a really poor excuse because I should find the time to read these days. Perhaps when I'm retired and doing my travelling, it'll come about. But my amazing read is a childhood book,
Okay.
and it's by Enid Blyton, and it's the Enchanted Magical Faraway Tree.
Wow. Okay.
So
And your reasons for
yeah,
Enchanted
I mean, and I
Faraway?
know, yeah, I kind of explained it to you as a fairy tale on steroids because it has all the stuff in it that talks about pixies, elves, fairies. You've got your baddies in there as well. And you've got this superb like tree in the middle of an enchanted wood that has all these magical creatures living amongst its branches. And at the top of the tree, there's um, basically different lands that swirl around in the clouds. And
Wow.
some lands are lovely, you know, fantastic places where perhaps everything's made of sweets, you know, for an example. For children, great. And sometimes the lands are less than nice, and you don't want to get trapped in that land. So to me, as an adult, and I worked in education for quite a long time, it really did sort of set the scene for children to know that there is good and bad out there.
Yeah.
You know, some people aren't nice people, and some people are really good and kind, and this is what you need to aspire to be. So I can remember reading this book over and over and over again as a very young child. To the point now that when I thought about this book as an adult over the last couple of days, I know that I can't read it again because it will have lost that magic of
Oh.
being a child. I'd be too worried about reading it and thinking, no, I can't read it now. It won't hold the same magic that it did as a child that got me into a love of reading, which is so important for young children and children that grow up
Yeah.
into adolescent and adulthood.
Yeah. But you wouldn't want to read it again in case it took that magic away from your childhood. The memory of how
No,
amazing reading it
but
is
not doing it, Mark. You
not
couldn't
doing
pay
it.
me.
No,
Not
no,
doing it.
no, no, no. I wouldn't take that memory away from you. But
Yeah, a real escapism.
I had a quick Google of it, and it had some very funny character names like Moonface and Saucepan Man,
Yeah.
Silky the Fairy.
Silky the Fairy was just who I'd want to be. She was lovely. She was like the real heroine. So yeah,
What did she do?
fantastic.
What was her character? What was she like?
Oh, she just went with. There was three children from memory that would climb up the faraway tree and decide whether they were or were not going to go to the top of the tree and land in the enchanted land, whatever that might be. Um, So sometimes the stories would be that Silky would go up into the land with them. Sometimes, you know, there might be something that dreadful happened to Silky and the children might have to rescue her. So this was one in several books by Enid Blyton. And again, interestingly, I thought No, this is years old. This was written before I was born, back in the 50s. Um, the name, apparently more recent editions have had to change to be more reflective of society.
Yeah, they're doing that more and
And
more, aren't they?
yeah, I know you're quite a keen writer, aren't you, Mark? So it's quite interesting to sort of see why they've changed people's names to reflect a more modern
Yeah.
society, and perhaps the baddies have had a slight change of name because it doesn't sit well in the times that we're in today. So I don't know
Part of
quite
me
how
feels
I feel
that
about.
they shouldn't change the names, like because
Yeah,
you're missing a valuable learning opportunity, aren't you? It's like why are they calling it that? Well, that was a common name back then, really.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you're not going to have those lessons, are you? If you sort of
No,
stop it.
no.
But yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure there are people out there
yeah,
that could absolutely argue the case of why.
definitely.
Um, and I think, oh well, okay. Again, it's opinion, isn't it? And
Yeah, there's no right
who's
or wrong
who's got the more
answer.
educated
Yeah,
opinion?
yeah, yeah. The one who can argue the best.
Yeah,
Not right, but they can argue best. But you were talking about life lessons, about learning about um, people in it. Do you think is it a book that's able to sort of help people spot people who may be bad or good or things like that,
I think
or is
it's
it just sort of teach social learning of that there are good people and there are bad people?
yeah, I think it's more that point really, because good people and bad people all look very different, don't they?
Mm,
Some good people look beautiful and lovely, some bad people. I mean, the other way around, really.
yeah.
So, some bad people look beautiful and lovely to
Mm,
whoever's looking, and vice versa. So I think it's more an awareness for young children, and that it's taught in a safe way through reading, isn't it? That you might encounter bad experiences, and knowing what the right thing to do is in those experiences. So not really dressing up life as the perfect ideal that we'd want for children or for
yeah.
adults as well, because children are going to grow into adults.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I suppose it gives the lessons that you have good times and bad times, but they don't neither last forever. Sort of like,
yeah,
yeah, don't get stuck in the bad times for too long. Yeah. So
yeah.
but you wouldn't read it again,
No, no,
right?
I can't have the memory spoiled.
No, no. Sometimes the memory's better, isn't it? Just like keep the memory of how good it is,
Yeah,
yeah. And let's be honest, there's thousands of books out there that haven't been read yet, isn't there? And yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Perhaps if you do this another couple of years, I might have read a grown-up book, Mark, and I can debate that with you.
there's no right or wrong book, is there? Is what one connects best with you, and it sounds like this is quite important for you when you were younger and how much you liked it. Right. So we're now on to the final amazing, which is your opinion on the most amazing thing ever.
Oh well, I'm right on this completely. The most amazing thing ever is Mother Nature, because wow, what does she do? I mean, it's that sort of destructive force that we see the here and now. I mean, obviously in the last week or so, horrendous fires
Mm,
that are spiraling almost out of control in Europe, and the heat wave. The sun, heat's wonderful. Um, so yeah, the natural force of Mother Nature in destruction, I think, is phenomenal. But also her healing properties as well.
yeah.
Yeah, and
No,
the ability to rebirth and to make new, and to remake differently as well.
yeah. Yeah.
And we talk about her, it's only because it's mother. My understanding is that Mother Nature has come from the ancient Greeks that termed Mother Nature as such. So it's just kind of stuck from then on.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It,
we
it,
all see destruction, don't we? And then a couple of years later, there'll be something that's grown or.
yeah. I always think it's Chernobyl of like how
Mm,
that just blew it. And they said, oh, you're not going to be able to go anywhere near it for hundreds of years. And sort of like 40 years later, nature is doing much better than was
you'd
first
ever imagine.
it would ever
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ben Fogle did a documentary where he revisited Chernobyl several years ago. That was amazing, you
Mm.
know. Yeah,
And the other thing is when if I see an old house that and then you start see, I might have said this on another podcast, but where the grass and the starts taking it back, nature starts reclaiming the house, and how like nature can come through concrete, and but like how, and it's like so
yeah,
hard, but yet nature's ultimately soft, but it can come through.
harsh.
Sorry.
Yeah, harsh as well. It just
Yeah.
does everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think Bruce Lee said something about be water. It's like water can be your friend, it can save you, it can quench your thirst, but also it can be like thunder. It can be like a waterfall gushing and knocking you over. It's
yeah,
yeah, it's got the capacity to heal and kill, isn't it, nature? It's just
yeah.
it's all encompassing.
And I think for me, I mean, it probably does link a little bit in terms of one of the next section is when you live amongst nature, your appreciation of it really deepens.
Mm,
You know, I lived in Boston nearly all my life and mainly around town centre and always considered myself to be a town girl, a townie. Um, but absolutely love being outside and the great
mm.
outdoors and seeing and learning stuff about, you know, what's out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and interacting with Mother Nature and
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, yeah, because you also mentioned about the climate, um, how that's changing and with Mother Nature.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we're living it now, aren't we, at the moment? And it's, yeah, I guess, depending on who you are, and your credentials, and you have these fantastic scientists that say, you know, the temperature of the earth has increased by X many percent, and it means that water levels are doing this, and we're so at risk, the ozone. And that is true. But Mother Nature, as part of Earth, has always transformed over years. We've just speeded
Mm,
it up a bit, haven't we?
yeah,
These things do happen. Um, and, you know, humankind is such a minuscule part of the world that we're living in. We're
yeah,
really inconsequential, really,
yeah,
when you
yeah.
think about
I
it.
think we're on the same page on this because when they talk about like the climate trying to save the planet will be just fine. Whether we'll be here or not is a different ball game.
Exactly.
Like the climate change may change so we can't live here and we all disappear, but Mother Nature will carry on and adapt and change and evolve. It's yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's Mother Nature will survive the climate change.
Yeah.
Problem is,
Definitely.
will the humans? Um, yeah, that's a
Yeah, I think it's about enjoying and appreciating what we have right here and right now, and try to, you know, to continue enjoying it as we can. Um, I hate fly tipping. Why would you? Why would you do that? Why would you dump stuff in our beautiful countryside? Why would you do that? You know,
yeah.
it's
It's working with nature rather than against it, isn't it? It's like
yeah,
the clues are there. What works and what doesn't. We all know, don't we, as humans, what's good,
yeah,
fundamentally, what's not. Like you said, fly tipping, not.
no,
Yeah, no, I can totally get why you said Mother Nature, and my personal view is that Mother Nature will survive pretty much as long as the planet does. It is partly
yeah,
the planet and how it all sort of um, connects together. A friend of mine's a
yeah,
gardener, and it just made me look at how different, maybe look at Mother Nature completely different. Like he planted a seed and he said, "Oh, this has got a little program in it, and this program will only grow um, runner beans, and it's got its essence of runner beans in. Humans have got their human essence, but this has got an essence of a bean in, and then he planted it, and then few months later, we went for a walk and we were taking an apple off a tree. And he said, when the apple's ready, he said, the apple will give it, the tree will give it. If you've got a pull, he said, the apple isn't ready for us to eat. If you just gently take it and it comes off, it's ready. And he was like, there's a connection between you and the tree with you giving the apple. And I was just like, whoa, like,
Wow.
hadn't sort of seen it like that. But like, if you've got a pull and take it and forcefully take it,
It's not
it's
ready.
not ready for you to have.
No.
But if it just comes off gently, it's perfectly ready for a human
Yeah.
to eat. And I was just like, oh, yeah, like there's that synergy with Mother Nature, and when you get it right, it works.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's the most amazing thing ever. And I'd champion anybody to come up against me on that one, because I think
Yeah,
I've trumped
yeah,
that one.
yeah, and yeah, it's just crazy. Well, even like nature and Mother Nature, the fact that you can get eggs from your chickens to go back to your chickens, that there's a synergy there, isn't there? That's
Chicken and egg, who came first? What came first?
oh yeah, they reckon some scientists have answered. They reckon that the eggs come first, but how do we know? How do we know?
How do
Let's
we
not
know?
overcomplicate it. Right. Anything else you'd like to say about amazing Mother Nature before we move on? Or
No,
all done?
I couldn't give her the credit she deserves.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy, isn't it, Mother Nature? So thank you for those. So let's now go on to your opinion on what you think is the most amazing thing about Boston.
It's generally the landscapes. It feeds straight back into the natural side. Our landscape, some may say, it's flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. In some places it isn't though.
But
We've
mostly in
got
this
beautiful
area, really.
wall.
You can see so much.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you've got a little bit of everything in Boston, really. The waterways that we have, our heritage. I did actually listen to Richard Torrey's podcast
Oh yeah.
when he was talking about Boston. So much of what he was saying about, our place within England was just fascinating, and I couldn't agree more, because I think for our town it's difficult because it has transformed over the years, but in our lifetime it has, and some things are possibly perceived as not so good, some things are perceived as better. But that's been Boston for centuries. It's always transformed. It's always had an influx of people coming through the port, and people that come to settle, people that leave the town and go to pastures new. So when I think of Boston, I automatically think about St. Botolph's Stump and think what an incredible building that this town was able to create. How amazing. There's other towns in Lincolnshire that don't have anything like what we've got. That's amazing. What an amazing achievement for local people. So I think it's our heritage, our landscape. Let's try to protect it as much as we can. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's
Carry on.
there's wilding areas around Boston as well. So obviously there's a local woods trust that have recently set a new packet of land near the Butterfly Hospice to grow trees, and they've got a beautiful lake in there as well. So let's just try and keep Boston beautiful.
Yeah, the wood trusts, those people who've planted lots, like in the time that I've been here in the last 15 years or so, the amount of woods that have been created by that group is absolutely.
Yeah, I think, and I might have got this wrong, but the most recent one that they've just they planted all the trees, I think, at tail end of last year. I think it was over 16,000 trees, and I'm sure somebody will correct me, but it was about that number of trees. Yeah. So yeah, to me, it's Boston packaged up as a beautiful landscape, beautiful waterways, beautiful heritage and buildings.
Yeah, No, I can definitely agree with that. Because when you look along, like you can see sunsets because it's also flat. You can see for
Yeah.
miles. Yeah, yeah,
It's the sum of all of its parts. I mean, that goes into another quote, doesn't it? But that is the best thing about Boston, all the bits that join
yeah,
into it.
yeah, together. Well, yeah, thank you for that. So before we move on to the point that for you to promote what you'd like to promote, I'm just going to sum up all your amazings. So your first amazing was Elizabeth I, for how amazing person. Your most amazing item object was video recording. Your most amazing animal, the chicken. Your most amazing quote is life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. And your most amazing book is The Faraway Tree by Enid Blyton. And your most amazing thing ever is Mother Nature. If I had to take a theme throughout all of those, it's not important how it works, just keep it simple. Is the theme. Like, I don't know how the egg comes out the chicken, we get an egg. I don't know how the video recorder works. It works. Let's keep things simple and not overly complicated. And I'd say that was the theme throughout this podcast.
Yeah.
Are you happy with your choices? You don't want to change any of them?
No, not at all. I'm very happy with my choices.
Yeah,
I think it's great. And what resonates with me on this, Mark, is that, if something dreadful happens and, we go back to a time where we're going to have to fight for survival, it's evident that the Bridgets of this world won't be able to survive because they don't know how things work. So,
yeah. Um, I saw online a book that was that basically told you how to make wheels and how to restart society if it all goes wrong. And I was like, that is a book to have. Like, how to make video recorders, how to make things. I was like, yeah, I'm having that. And then it was 70 quid, and I was like, yeah, nah, I didn't think it was a 70 quid book. But like when it all goes wrong, I'll regret not paying the 70 quid for that book.
perhaps we'll put it down on a Christmas list, Mark. We'll do that.
Yeah. So let's move on to the parts that you'd like to share with the community and promote. I guess it's all to do with your role as the CEO of Butterfly Hospice Trust.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Yeah, it kind of goes in tandem of why what I think is great about Boston, and we've touched a little bit on what people can actually achieve. The Butterfly Hospice is a prime example of this because local people just over 20 years ago decided that they needed a hospice for local people to spend their palliative years and their end of life. So, the stick and gritty determination of many people that came together, the community that came together, has enabled this hospice to now be open for 9 years. So we took our patient in fact, it's been 9 years on the 4th of August this year. So we're going to have a bit of a birthday party, we normally do. And we've admitted thousands of people here. To me, the hospice is such an important place because sometimes, if you're living with a life-limiting illness and you need that extra help, there is that point of sometimes the home can't always be the right place for that care. So come to the Butterfly Hospice so that the clinical team here can provide that care so that you can potentially return back to your home or your home environment. And it's a conduit really between the home and our Pilgrim Hospital as well. So it's a choice. I think people should be offered the choice about their end of life. How important is your end of life? And getting those wishes, those things that's so important to you. So over the years, we've had wedding vow celebrations, we've had parties for people. We've done stuff because it's about living the rest of your days as best as they can be. So our hospice is for those aged 18 and up, and I guess many people will refer to the Butterfly Hospice as a place where you come if you've got cancer. Yes, but also we support people with other life-limiting conditions as well. It's not always a place for those that come to us because they have come to the end of old age, shall we say. We've supported young people as well, and I think I kind of term it sometimes that what we provide here is almost like a private facility. So you get the nice stuff, but you don't pay for it, because that's the whole point of the charity. We raise the money to allow that to happen for people. So as a small charity, we can't run the whole thing on our own. So we entered into a partnership 9 years ago with Lincolnshire Community Health Service. They provide the clinical care, and I'll often say with people, I think it's been a partnership ahead of its time. Partnerships aren't always easy, and in fact one of the medical leads here said, it's like we're a married couple. It's a marriage. And I said, yeah, that's a lovely way of putting it, through good times and bad. Because we've had some. COVID was horrendous. But yeah, to me, that's my plug, that there's this fantastic facility. You won't know about it because you can't drive past it, but we're at the back of Pilgrim Hospital. So tucked round the back of Linden Way. We're actually situated in Rowan Way in Boston. The charity itself, we raise money to keep our doors open through a variety of events and fundraising activities. So we do have a website. So just Google us, or Mark will probably post it later, won't you?
Yeah, I'll put the link below with this.
Yeah, just to find out a bit more about us if you don't know who we are and what we do. We're very much open door. So if somebody wants to have a look at what we do, give us a call and come and have a look round. It's a lovely building. It's not morbid.
No.
It's beautiful, very wildlifey.
Lots of Mother Nature, isn't there?
Lots of Mother Nature. Yeah.
So you're a charity, so you have to raise funds to keep going. So I guess there'll be a donate button on your website, but you also have some events that
Every year. I mean, summer is probably the best time to attend some of our more memorable events, and we hold an annual butterfly release. So the one in Boston was held a couple of weeks ago, and it was phenomenal. We had so many people, and it was just in between when the weather was getting really, really bad. So we managed to release our butterflies nice and safely before the heavens opened. And what was really nice was on the afternoon in particular, once the heavens had opened, some people left, but many stayed with us and sheltered under our marquee. It was kind of like, what do you want to stay in? It's torrential. So that was really nice. And I think it's because people wanted to come back and join with us, the charity team, but also the nurses as well. And, it's a special place. It's a place where they've lost their loved ones, have died with us. So it's sort of like marks that person's time with us.
And I imagine at those times you make quite strong connections as well with people.
Very strong. Even, as I've said before, we've had people that come in for some respite. And in fact, we've got a gentleman who's, I think it's his 5th time of coming, having some time with us. And you can't help, they're people. You can't help but have relationships with people that we see wandering up and down or in the gardens. It's lovely. So the butterfly release is quite a nice, memorable event, and our next one's in Spalding next month. But then we also do some nice sort of like active events as well. So we've got our big bike ride coming up in September as well. So those that are professional bikers and those that are novices, all are welcome to come and sponsor and join in if possible. All the dates are on the website.
Cool. I shall put a link to the website, and you've also got shops in the towns, Boston's is it Boston, Spalding, Bourne, Louth, Horncastle, and Wisbech? You've got.
Yeah, we've
I didn't
got
realise you had so many. I knew the Boston
yeah,
one, the Spalding one.
definitely. And we were about to open a new one in Horncastle next month. So literally we're just trying to get the sign sorted. So we'll soon be coming to Horncastle because we're a local hospice for local people, but the catchment really is the south and east of Lincolnshire. So,
Right.
we're still supported by other towns, which is fantastic. So we'll still take people from outside of Boston that
Yeah,
sit within our catchment.
yeah.
So yeah.
And people can donate unwanted items to your warehouse, is that right?
Yeah, so we
Well,
have yeah, we do. We have a warehouse in Hamilton Row in Boston. So that's kind of in the bit behind the range, if you like. It's sort of tucked away there. So we're open currently weekdays only, but we are looking to open a full 7 days.
right.
So we're just looking to recruit staff so we can be open 7 days a week because how many of us work and we can never get anywhere until the weekend. So we're investing in staff and volunteers to actually come and get us open longer so we can help people donate to us.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, it's a lot you've got going on to keep the so the charity keeps the hospice going. So it's all done by sort of kind donations, volunteers, and yeah, to keep it all.
It really is. And I have to say, I've had a fair few years of work under my belt. This job and this charity is the best place to work ever
Mm,
because of what we do, you
yeah,
know. And
yeah,
next year will be 10 people. So please support us next year and
yeah,
this year. Keep
yeah,
us going for another 10.
yeah. Yeah, and I suppose being so close to the actual hospice yourself, you get to see the difference the money makes to the.
Yeah, so we've invested a lot of money over the last year to reduce costs. So we've gone solar. So we've had a big push on the
Mm,
green agenda. Um, but we've also revamped our hospice itself. So it was needing a bit more than a lick of paint. So we've done some internal can't say that, internal reconfiguration,
mm,
just to make the hospice just a nicer, more comfortable, comforting space for people when they're here.
mm,
Not just the people that need the care, but their loved ones as well.
mm.
We've set up a therapy service as well. So we now have pre and post bereavement therapy service for people those that are left behind and or those that are coming to terms with a diagnosis that they're struggling to process.
Yeah,
So we're just always looking forward to what else can we do.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's a great job that you do, and yeah, yeah. And like you said, if people want to get to know a little bit more, they can check out your website, and if they want to come and have a look around, they can
Definitely.
pop you give a
If I
call.
could just, before we sign off, anybody that does know about us and has supported us, I just want to say thank you
Mm,
because without local people support, we just wouldn't exist. We're not funded by anybody. It's the generosity of local people and local business that keep us viable and keep us going. And
mm.
touch wood, we're doing really, really well. So thank you, people.
Yeah, yeah. It wouldn't be done. I suppose that's another good thing about Boston in the area, isn't it? The generosity. So, yeah, perfect. Thank you,
Thank you.
Bridget. So that's this podcast over. We'll have another one next week with another guest. So that's the podcast done. Thank you for your time, Bridget. Thank you for sharing your amazings. And we'll say bye for now and see you next week.